Folktales. Before we start this amazing story, please kindly subscribe and turn on the bell icon. This will help us be able to bring you more stories quickly and sweetly. Now enjoy this story. The moment hung thick in the air, heavy with tension. The scar-faced man took another step forward, his grip tightening around the metal pipe in his hand. Ngozi could feel her heartbeat pounding in her ears, her hands trembling as she grabbed the edge of her seat. Bidemi shifted slightly, calculating. He wasn't just going to let them take her. Not after everything. Then, in a flash, Musa made the first move. He flung open the car door, lunging at one of the men with his knife. The man staggered backward, clutching his arm as blood seeped through his sleeve. Chaos erupted. Bidemi jumped out next, his instincts taking over. He dodged a wild swing from another attacker and landed a solid punch to the man's jaw. Adebayo reached under his seat and pulled out a rusty wrench, swinging it wildly as he fought off another man trying to drag him out of the car. Ngozi remained frozen for a moment, fear gripping her body like chains. But as she saw Bidemi struggling with one of the men, something inside her snapped. She wasn't going to be a helpless victim. She reached for the half-empty water bottle beside her, her fingers curling around it tightly. Without thinking, she flung it at the scar-faced man's head. It wasn't much, but it distracted him just enough for Musa to lunge at him with full force, knocking him down. "Run!" Adebayo shouted. Bidemi grabbed Ngozi's hand, pulling her along as they darted toward a narrow alleyway. Musa and Adebayo followed closely behind, their breaths ragged as their feet pounded against the pavement. Behind them, the attackers were quick to recover. Furious shouts filled the air as they gave chase. Bidemi pulled Ngozi into a dark corner, pressing his back against the cold wall. Musa crouched beside them, gripping his knife tightly. Adebayo, still catching his breath, whispered, "We can't stay here long. We need a plan." Ngozi swallowed hard, trying to steady her breathing. "Where can we go? They won't stop hunting me." Bidemi's jaw clenched. He had gotten her out of that car once. He wasn't about to let them take her now. "We go underground," he said firmly. "We disappear." Adebayo nodded. "I know a place. But we have to move now." The sound of footsteps echoed down the alley. The men were close. Ngozi's pulse quickened. They had seconds before they were found. Bidemi looked at her, his eyes filled with determination. "Trust me?" She hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "Yes." He took her hand again, and they disappeared into the darkness. Bidemi led Ngozi through the maze of dark alleyways, his grip firm around her wrist. She struggled to keep up, her expensive sandals barely surviving the rough pavement, but she knew slowing down was not an option. Their pursuers were close. Too close. Musa and Adebayo followed behind, their breaths ragged, their eyes darting in every direction for a possible escape route. The night was eerily silent, except for the distant honking of cars and the hurried footsteps behind them. "There's a hidden passage just ahead," Adebayo whispered. "If we make it there, we can lose them." They turned a sharp corner, but just as they did, two men emerged from the shadows, blocking their path. Scarface was among them, a deep cut on his arm from Musa's earlier attack. His eyes burned with rage. "There's nowhere to run now," Scarface growled, stepping forward. Ngozi's stomach twisted in fear. She could see the blood-stained knife in his hand. Her father's men were relentless. They had come too far to let her slip through their fingers again. Bidemi squared his shoulders, placing himself between Ngozi and the men. "You really think you can take us?" he said, his voice steady despite the tension crackling in the air. Scarface chuckled darkly. "I don't need to. You're already trapped." A car engine roared behind them. Ngozi turned her head sharply and saw another vehicle screeching to a stop at the entrance of the alley, its headlights flooding the narrow space. More men jumped out. They were surrounded. Adebayo cursed under his breath. "We need a miracle." Then, without warning, Musa lunged. He threw his knife straight at the closest man, the blade slicing through the air before embedding itself in the man's thigh. A scream rang out as the man collapsed. That was the only distraction they needed. Bidemi grabbed a rusted metal rod from the ground and swung it with all his strength, knocking another attacker to the side. Adebayo joined in, using his fists to pummel one of the men trying to grab Ngozi. Scarface lunged at Ngozi. She shrieked, scrambling backward as his hand reached for her hair. Before he could grab her, Bidemi tackled him to the ground. Ngozi's heart pounded as she saw Bidemi and Scarface wrestling, fists flying. The others were locked in their own desperate fights. There was no telling who would come out alive. She had to do something. Now. Her eyes darted around and landed on a stack of broken glass bottles near the alley wall. Without hesitating, she ran towards them, picking up the sharpest piece she could find. Scarface had gained the upper hand. He was straddling Bidemi, his hands wrapped around his throat, choking him. Bidemi's legs kicked, his hands clawing at Scarface's grip, but his strength was fading. Ngozi didn't think, she acted. She lunged forward and drove the sharp glass into Scarface's shoulder with all her strength. He let out a blood-curdling scream, rolling off Bidemi as he clutched his bleeding shoulder. Now. Run. Musa shouted, already pulling Adebayo to his feet. Bidemi coughed, gasping for air as Ngozi grabbed his arm and yanked him up. They didn't wait to see if their attackers would recover. With adrenaline pumping through their veins, they bolted, disappearing once again into the labyrinth of Lagos streets. The night air felt colder than before as Ngozi, Bidemi, Musa, and Adebayo ran through the deserted streets. Their breaths came in ragged gasps, feet pounding against the cracked pavement. Every shadow felt like a trap, every sound a signal of danger. They had managed to escape Scarface and his men, but for how long? Ngozi's heart pounded as she stole a glance behind her. No sign of them. Yet. We can't keep running like this, Musa panted, doubling over to catch his breath. They'll track us down eventually. Bidemi scanned their surroundings, his sharp eyes searching for a safe place. His chest still ached from Scarface's grip, but there was no time to dwell on it. He spotted a broken-down Danfo parked near an abandoned building. It wasn't much, but it was shelter. Over there, he motioned, leading the group towards the wreckage. They climbed inside, crouching low as they caught their breath. The night stretched on, each second ticking away painfully slow. Ngozi sat close to Bidemi, her arms wrapped around herself as she tried to stop trembling. Adebayo broke the silence. Ngozi, do you have any idea why they want you so badly? Ngozi's lips parted, but no words came out at first. Then, after a long pause, she whispered, my father is involved in things. Dangerous things. Human trafficking. Musa let out a low whistle. That explains a lot. I don't know how deep it goes, Ngozi continued, her voice shaking. I never questioned him. But now, I think he was trying to get rid of me. Bidemi's jaw tightened. He sent them after you? Tears welled in Ngozi's eyes, but she blinked them away. I don't know. But someone powerful wants me gone. Silence settled over them again, heavy and suffocating. Adebayo exhaled deeply. So what's the plan? We can't stay here forever. Bidemi rubbed a hand over his face, thinking fast. First, we need to find somewhere safer. Lei might help. Lei? Musa asked. He's an old friend. Runs a mechanic workshop not far from here. If he's still around, he can hide us for a while. Ngozi swallowed hard. And then? Bidemi met her gaze, his expression unreadable. And then we figure out how to stop whoever is after you. A distant noise cut through the night. Car engines. More than one. They're coming, Musa whispered. No one needed further prompting. They slipped out of the Danfo, staying low as they disappeared into the darkness once again. The streets were eerily quiet, but Bidemi knew better than to trust the silence. He could hear the distant hum of engines prowling the area like predators searching for prey. The men hunting them were relentless, and time was running out. We need to move. Now, Bidemi whispered urgently. Ngozi's hands trembled as she nodded. She had never felt so helpless in her life, but she trusted Bidemi. He had already saved her once, she had no choice but to believe he could do it again. They hurried through the dark alleys, sticking close to the walls, their shadows stretching and shifting under the flickering streetlights. Every step felt like a gamble. One wrong move, and it was over. Adebayo pulled out a small, rusted dagger from his pocket. If they catch us, I won't go down without a fight. Musa let out a dry chuckle. You and your toy knife. Just don't stab yourself by mistake. Bidemi shot them both a warning look. This is not the time for jokes. They kept moving until they reached an old mechanic workshop on the outskirts of the neighborhood. The large metal gate loomed over them, locked and rusted. Bidemi knocked 3 times, paused, then knocked twice more, a secret code from the past. After a long, tense moment, the gate creaked open just enough for a man to peek out. His eyes widened in surprise. By Demi? Lei, we need a place to hide. Lei hesitated, glancing at the nervous faces behind by Demi. You've brought trouble, haven't you? Big trouble, Musa confirmed. With a sigh, Lei unlatched the gate and ushered them inside. The workshop smelled of engine oil and sweat. Half-repaired cars and scattered tools littered the space. You can stay in the back for now, Lei said, leading them through the maze of car parts. But if the wrong people come knocking, I'll have to pretend I don't know you. We understand, Demi replied. As they settled in the dimly lit back room, Ngozi finally allowed herself to breathe. But deep down, she knew this was only a temporary escape. The people after her weren't the type to give up. The hunt wasn't over, it had only just begun. The night stretched long and unforgiving, shadows clinging to the corners of the workshop as if they, too, were hiding from something dangerous. Ngozi sat on an old tire, her arms wrapped around herself, shivering, not from the cold, but from fear. Demi watched her carefully. Are you okay? She nodded, but the lie was obvious. Nothing was okay. Nothing had been okay since that morning in Ikoyi when her world turned upside down. Adebayo paced the room, his nerves getting the better of him. We can't stay here forever. We need a plan. Musa cracked his knuckles. The only plan is to stay alive. Lei leaned against the dusty car hood. Who exactly is after you, Ngozi? She hesitated, then finally admitted the truth. My father. Silence filled the space like a thick fog. Demi blinked, his mind struggling to process what he just heard. Your father? She swallowed hard. He's not who people think he is. He's powerful, dangerous. And if he wants me back, he won't stop until he gets me. Adebayo exhaled sharply. So we're not just dealing with some street thugs. This is bigger. Ngozi nodded. Much bigger. Lei cursed under his breath. Then you need to disappear. Completely. Demi's jaw tightened. We're not letting them take her. Then we need to be smarter than them, Lei said. I have a friend who can help forge new identities, but it's risky. Ngozi's heart pounded. A new identity? A new life? It was overwhelming. But what choice did she have? Footsteps suddenly echoed outside the workshop. The group froze, hearts pounding in unison. A loud knock followed. They exchanged glances. No one spoke. No one moved. Then a deep voice called out. We know she's in there. The hunt had caught up with them. The room fell into a suffocating silence. The knock came again, harder this time, rattling the metal door. Ngozi's breath hitched as she clutched Demi's arm. We know she's in there, the voice outside repeated, colder now. Open this door before we break it down. Musa pulled a rusted wrench from a workbench, his grip tight. Adebayo held up a hand, signaling for caution. Lei moved quietly, reaching for a crowbar. Demi scanned the room for an escape, but there was none, only one door, and the men outside were blocking it. Ngozi's pulse pounded in her ears. We can't let them take me, she whispered. Demi's jaw tightened. They won't. The men outside weren't waiting any longer. A loud bang echoed through the workshop as they rammed the door with force. The hinges groaned. Dust rained from the ceiling. Lei exhaled sharply. We have to fight. No, Demi said suddenly. We have to outsmart them. He turned to Ngozi. You trust me? Her eyes searched his. Yes. Then do exactly what I say. The door shook again, another brutal slam threatening to rip it from its hinges. Musa gritted his teeth, ready to charge. Then Demi did something unexpected. He grabbed a rag, dipped it into an old can of engine oil, and threw it at the dimly burning lantern in the corner. Flames exploded, licking up the wall in an instant. What the hell? Adebayo started, but Demi cut him off. They'll think the place is burning down. When they panic, we run. Smoke filled the air as the flames danced higher. Shouts came from outside. Fire! Move back! The men outside hesitated, footsteps scrambling away from the door. Now! Demi hissed. He grabbed Ngozi's hand and sprinted toward the door. Lei and Musa followed closely. Adebayo kicked the door open, sending smoke billowing out. The men had backed off, shielding their faces. In the confusion, the group slipped past them, disappearing into the shadows of the night. But as they ran, Ngozi knew this wasn't over. Her father wouldn't stop. And now, the real chase had begun. Ngozi's legs burned as she ran, her heartbeat hammering against her ribs. The smoke from the burning workshop still clung to the air, making her throat roar. Bidemi's grip on her wrist was firm, guiding her through the darkened alleyways of Lagos. Behind them, angry shouts erupted as the men realized they had been tricked. Footsteps pounded against the pavement. The chase was on. This way. Bidemi whispered urgently, tugging her to the left. Lei and Musa followed closely, their breaths heavy. Adebayo brought up the rear, constantly checking over his shoulder. They weaved through abandoned market stalls, leaping over crates and dodging piles of discarded junk. Then Ngozi heard it, the roaring engine of a vehicle. "They have a car," she gasped, struggling to keep up. Bidemi cursed under his breath. "We need to get off the streets." Lei pointed ahead. "Under that bridge, there's a drainage tunnel. If we get inside, they won't see us." Musa hesitated. "And if they follow us?" "Then we fight," Adebayo said grimly. No one argued. They sprinted toward the opening of the drainage tunnel just as headlights flashed at the end of the street. A black SUV screeched to a stop. "They're here," Ngozi cried out. The car doors flung open, and men poured out, armed and ready. Bidemi shoved Ngozi forward. "Run!" She stumbled into the tunnel, the others diving in behind her. The darkness swallowed them whole. The stench of stagnant water filled the air, but there was no time to care. The men outside shouted orders, their voices echoing through the tunnel entrance. "They're trapped. Get in there." Ngozi's stomach twisted. Trapped. The word clung to her skin like sweat. She turned to Bidemi. "What do we do now?" His eyes, sharp even in the darkness, darted around. Then he grinned, a reckless, defiant grin. "We keep moving forward." Because turning back meant death. The tunnel stretched on, damp and suffocating. Ngozi's breath came in ragged gasps as she stumbled forward, her fingers grazing the slimy wall for balance. The echoes of hurried footsteps behind them sent chills down her spine. "They're coming," Lei whispered, his voice barely above a breath. Bidemi clenched his jaw. "We can't stop now. Keep moving." Ahead, faint moonlight filtered through a rusted grate. It was their only way out. But the sound of splashing water behind them meant their pursuers had entered the tunnel. Ngozi's pulse pounded. "We have to hurry." Musa reached the grate first and yanked at it. It stuck. Adebayo joined him, gripping the bars with both hands. He grunted, veins bulging in his arms as he heaved. The metal groaned but held firm. Footsteps drew closer. Shadows flickered on the tunnel walls. Bidemi spun around, fists clenched. "We don't have time for this. Get ready to fight." Ngozi's chest tightened. Was this it? Had they come all this way just to be caught? Suddenly, a loud snap rang out. The rusted bolts gave way, and the grate crashed onto the ground. "Go!" Adebayo hissed, shoving Ngozi up first. She scrambled through, hands trembling as she pulled herself onto solid ground. One by one, the others followed, their bodies slick with sweat and grime. Just as Bidemi climbed out, a rough hand shot through the opening, grabbing his ankle. Ngozi's heart nearly stopped. "No!" Bidemi kicked hard, breaking free. The man inside lunged, but it was too late. With a swift motion, Lei and Musa heaved the grate back into place, trapping their pursuers inside. Shouts of rage erupted from the tunnel below, fists hammering against metal. Ngozi collapsed onto her knees, gulping in fresh air. They had escaped. For now. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Bidemi wiped sweat from his brow and turned to the others. "We need to disappear before they find another way out." Adebayo nodded. "I know a place." As they hurried into the night, Ngozi's mind raced with questions. Who were these men? And how far would they go to get her back? The city never truly slept. Even in the dead of night, Lagos hummed with distant car horns and the occasional bark of a stray dog. Bidemi and the others moved quickly, sticking to the shadows, their clothes damp with sweat and grime. Adebayo led them through a maze of back streets, his steps sure and deliberate. He didn't speak, didn't hesitate. He knew exactly where they were going. Ngozi's legs ached, but she refused to complain. She was alive. That was all that mattered. They finally stopped in front of an old, abandoned warehouse near the docks. Rust covered the metal walls, and the air smelled of salt and decay. Adebayo rapped on the side door twice, then 3 times more. A slot in the door slid open. A pair of suspicious eyes glared out. "Who be this?" "Adebayo," he answered. "We need a place to lay low." The eyes narrowed. Then, the door creaked open. They stepped inside, and Ngozi's stomach clenched. The room was dimly lit, the air thick with smoke. Several men sat around a makeshift table, bottles of beer and half-smoked cigarettes scattered between them. A man with a scar running down his cheek rose to his feet. "You no go just show up like this, Adebayo. Wedding day happen?" Adebayo exhaled sharply. "We ran into some serious wala." He motioned to Ngozi. "She's the one they are after." The scarred man's eyes flickered to Ngozi. He studied her, then grunted. "Na, this small girl cause all this commotion." Ngozi straightened. She was tired of being treated like baggage. "My name is Ngozi. And yes, I'm the one they want." The man chuckled. "She get fire for body." Then, his smile faded. "Who day after you?" Ngozi hesitated. Saying it out loud made it feel even more dangerous. But there was no point in hiding anymore. "My father," she said. "And he won't stop until he finds me." A heavy silence fell over the room. Bidemi clenched his fists. "We have to be ready." The scarred man sighed. "Then we best get prepared. War day come." Ngozi swallowed hard as the weight of her own words settled in the air. Her father wouldn't stop looking for her. And when he did, he wouldn't come alone. The men in the room knew it too. Their expressions darkened, their postures tensed. The scarred man, who everyone called Kazim, took a deep drag of his cigarette, then exhaled slowly. "If your father get money reach like that, we day fight something bigger than all of us." Adebayo nodded grimly. "That's why we need to be smart. Running no go help again." Ngozi turned to Bidemi. "What do we do?" Bidemi's jaw clenched. "We fight." Kazim snorted. "Fight who? You think say na ordinary street thugs day come for you? If this girl pop a day into human trafficking, you go get police, you go get politicians, you fit even get cult boys." Ngozi's heart pounded. She had always known her father was powerful, but hearing it like this made it more terrifying. Bidemi didn't flinch. "E no mean say we go just sit down day wait make DM carry her." Adebayo rubbed his chin. "We no fit fight DM head on. But we fit scatter their plan. If we go after their operation instead of just running, we fit shake them." Ngozi's eyes widened. "You mean, expose them?" Kazim chuckled, shaking his head. "Una WN start fire we no go quench." But Adebayo nodded. "If we fit show the world wetting DM day do, DM go lose power." Bidemi turned to Ngozi. "You sabai any dirty secret we fit use?" Ngozi's mind raced. She had spent years turning a blind eye to her father's dealings. But now, everything mattered. Every hushed conversation, every shadowy figure that passed through their mansion. Then she remembered something. "There's a warehouse," she whispered. "In Apapa. It's where they keep the new girls before they're moved." Adebayo and Bidemi exchanged looks. Kazim sighed, rubbing his temple. "If we go near that place, go be do or die." Bidemi stood up, his eyes fierce. "Then we go make sure we no die." The night air in Apapa was thick with the stench of the port, a mix of salt, oil, and the decay of forgotten things. Ngozi had never been here before, but the weight of what she was about to do made her legs feel heavy. She, Bidemi, Adebayo, and Kazim crouched in the shadows outside the warehouse, watching as 2 heavily armed guards paced the perimeter. A single truck was parked at the entrance, its back doors slightly open, revealing the faint outline of young girls huddled inside. Ngozi's stomach twisted. She knew her father was a monster, but seeing it firsthand, seeing the fear in those girls' eyes, made her hate him in a way she never had before. Bidemi leaned close to Adebayo. "And now we go know if this plan go work." Adebayo nodded. "We need distraction." Kazim smirked, pulling out a small bottle with a rag stuffed inside. "I get something we go do the work." Ngozi's breath caught. "Is that?" "Molotov," Kazim answered casually. Small fire no day kill person, but he go make everybody run. Bidemi gave her a reassuring squeeze on the shoulder. Once DM scatter, we go rush in, carry as many girls as we fit carry, then vanish. Ngozi nodded, swallowing her fear. There was no turning back now. Kazim flicked open a lighter, the small flame dancing in his fingers. He took one last look at the warehouse before he lit the rag and flung the bottle over the fence. Glass shattered. Flames erupted near the side of the building. Within seconds, shouts and gunshots filled the night. Move! Adebayo hissed, leading the charge. They sprinted towards the warehouse, slipping past the distracted guards. Ngozi's heart pounded as she climbed into the truck. The girls inside shrank back, their eyes wide with terror. It's okay, she whispered, reaching for the closest one. We're here to help. The girl hesitated before taking Ngozi's hand. Then another. And another. Outside, chaos reigned. Kazim was firing at the guards, Bidemi was dragging a girl to safety, and Adebayo was hot-wiring a second truck. Ngozi turned to the girl still trapped in the first truck. We need to move, now. Then she heard it. A deep, chilling voice behind her. Well, well, well. Look who we have here. She turned slowly, her blood running cold. Her father stood there, flanked by 4 armed men. And he was smiling. Ngozi's throat went dry. The man who had given her life, the man who had raised her in wealth and luxury, now stood before her like a demon in human form. The smirk on his face sent a chill down her spine. Well, my dear daughter, Chief Obadiah said, stepping forward. I didn't expect to see you here, playing hero. Ngozi clenched her fists. The terrified girls behind her whimpered, their fear a sharp reminder that she couldn't afford to break down now. You're a monster, she spat, her voice shaking. Selling innocent people like animals? How could you? Chief Obadiah let out a low chuckle. You were never supposed to see this side of things. But since you have, well, I suppose you leave me no choice. He signaled to his men. Take her. Ngozi's pulse spiked. 2 of the armed men lunged toward her. She swung wildly, her nails raking across one man's face. He yelled in pain, but the second man grabbed her arm in a vice grip. She struggled, kicking at his legs, but he was too strong. A gunshot rang out. The man holding her gasped, his grip loosening as blood bloomed across his chest. He collapsed. Run, Ngozi! Bidemi shouted, his hand steady on the gun he had just fired. Ngozi didn't think twice. She bolted, grabbing 2 of the girls and pulling them out of the truck. The others followed, moving as fast as their weak legs could carry them. Chief Obadiah's face twisted in fury. Get them! Chaos erupted. Gunfire ripped through the air. Kazim tackled one of the guards, slamming his head against the truck. Adebayo had managed to start the second truck and was already loading the rescued girls inside. Ngozi ran as fast as she could, but she wasn't fast enough. A rough hand yanked her back, and she found herself face to face with her father. You think you can ruin me, Ngozi? His grip tightened on her wrist. You are nothing without me. Ngozi's eyes burned with tears, but she refused to let them fall. I'd rather be nothing than be your daughter. A powerful kick slammed into Chief Obadiah's side. He stumbled, losing his grip on Ngozi. Bidemi was there in an instant, grabbing her and pulling her toward the truck. Let's go. Kazim roared as he jumped into the passenger seat. Ngozi climbed in, panting. As the truck sped off, she looked back one last time. Her father stood in the middle of the burning warehouse, his empire crumbling around him. But she knew this wasn't over. Not yet. The truck rumbled down the deserted road, the weight of everything that had just happened pressing on Ngozi's chest like a heavy stone. She clutched the edge of the seat, her knuckles white. The rescued girls sat in the back, some crying, some too shocked to react. Bidemi, gripping the steering wheel with determination, stole a glance at her. Are you okay? Ngozi forced herself to nod, but the truth was, she didn't know. Her heart was still racing, her father's voice ringing in her ears. You are nothing without me. She clenched her jaw. No. She would prove him wrong. Kazim, sitting beside her, was pressing a cloth to a wound on his arm. We need a safe place, he said through gritted teeth. Chief Obadiah won't let this go. Ngozi turned to Adebayo, who was watching the road carefully. Where can we go? Adebayo exhaled. I know a place. But we have to be careful. The truck swerved into a narrow dirt road, the tires kicking up dust. The headlights barely cut through the darkness, but Adebayo guided them through the winding path like he had been there 1,000 times before. Ngozi turned to the girls in the back. We're going to get you all to safety. I promise. One of them, a young girl with tear-streaked cheeks, reached for her hand. Thank you, she whispered. Ngozi squeezed her fingers gently. You're safe now. The truck finally came to a stop in front of a rundown building hidden behind thick trees. The night was eerily silent as Adebayo hopped out and knocked twice on the metal door. After a moment, it creaked open, revealing an older woman with tired eyes. Who are these people? She asked, her gaze shifting from Adebayo to the rest of them. People in danger, Adebayo said. Can we come in? The woman sighed but stepped aside. Hurry. They ushered the girls inside, making sure everyone was accounted for before closing the door behind them. The inside was dimly lit, old furniture lining the walls. It was far from comfortable, but for now, it was safe. Ngozi sank into a chair, her body finally feeling the exhaustion creeping in. We'll rest here, Bidemi said. But at sunrise, we move. Chief Obadiah won't stop looking. Ngozi knew he was right. This wasn't the end. It was just the beginning. The first rays of sunlight filtered through the cracked windows, casting long shadows across the dusty floor. The girls, exhausted from their ordeal, were curled up in corners, huddled together like frightened birds. Ngozi sat awake, her mind racing with 1,000 thoughts. Bidemi, leaning against the wall, studied the room. We can't stay here much longer. If Chief Obadiah is looking for us, he'll turn Lagos upside down. Adebayo, who had barely slept, ran a hand over his face. I know someone in Ibadan. A priest. He helps people disappear. Ngozi frowned. Disappear? Not literally, Adebayo clarified. He has a network, safe houses, new identities. If we can get these girls to him, they'll be free. Bidemi nodded. Then we leave now. Kazim groaned as he sat up, wincing at the pain in his wounded arm. You're forgetting something. Obadiah's men are probably watching every major road. How do we get to Ibadan without being seen? Silence fell over the room. Ngozi's heartbeat quickened. I have an idea, she said suddenly. But it's dangerous. All eyes turned to her. We don't run, she continued. We make them think we never left. Adebayo scoffed. And how do we do that? We send a message. A fake lead. If they think we're hiding somewhere else, they'll chase shadows while we slip through. Bidemi grinned. Smart. But we need a way to make it believable. Ngozi thought for a moment. My father has enemies in Port Harcourt. If we leak a rumor that I was spotted there, it'll buy us time. Adebayo smirked. I know just the person to spread that lie. Kazim struggled to his feet. Then let's move. We don't have time to waste. Ngozi took one last look at the terrified girls. She had to do this right, for them, for herself. No more running. No more fear. It was time to fight back. Ngozi's plan had to work. If they failed, there would be no second chance. Adebayo moved quickly, placing a call to an old friend in Port Harcourt, a man known for his ability to spread rumors like wildfire. Within minutes, the news was out. Chief Obadiah's daughter had been spotted in a hotel near the Port Harcourt waterfront. The bait was set. Now, they had to wait and see if Obadiah's men would take it. As the sun climbed higher, Bidemi scouted ahead. The streets were unusually quiet, but that didn't mean they were safe. He noticed a black SUV parked near a corner store, the engine running. Something felt off. He returned to the hideout quickly. We need to go. Now. I think we're being watched. Kazim cursed under his breath. So much for waiting. What's the plan? Public transport, Ngozi said. They'll expect us to run in secret, so we do the opposite. We take a bus. Get lost in the crowd. Adebayo looked skeptical. You're suggesting we walk right into a motor park? With Obadiah's men possibly swarming Lagos. Ngozi stood firm. Yes. Because they'll be looking for a group sneaking out of the city. Not a bunch of random passengers on a public bus. Bidemi grinned. I like this girl's mind. Let's move. They quickly gathered the girls, disguising them with second-hand clothes bought from a roadside vendor. Ngozi pulled a scarf over her head and slipped on a pair of sunglasses. To anyone looking, she was just another traveler. With their hearts pounding, they made their way to the bus station. Every shadow, every passing stranger felt like a threat. The tension was suffocating. As they reached the station, a conductor shouted, "Ibadan! Ibadan! One more space." Adebayo nudged Ngozi. "This is it." Just as they stepped forward, a deep voice cut through the noise. "Hey! Stop right there." Ngozi's blood ran cold.